Today, I will introduce a psychological thriller from 2014 called Before I Go to Sleep. Christine wakes up in bed and finds herself lying next to a man. She gets up, grabs her things, and goes into the bathroom. One wall in the bathroom is covered with photos of her and this man. She looks at the wedding ring on her hand and then steps out, where Ben is waiting for her. He tells her that they have been married for 14 years and that she is 40 years old. As she gets dressed, he explains that she was in a car accident 14 years ago and was injured, which has left her unable to retain memories. She can only store information for one day, and when she sleeps, everything disappears. The next morning, she thinks she is in her 20s again. He asks her to trust him, but she feels scared. While preparing breakfast, Ben continues telling her about their life together and their wedding before leaving for work. Ben gives her a list of things she might need and where to find them. She notices a note asking her to pack a suitcase. Ben says he will take her on a trip to celebrate their wedding anniversary. After he leaves, Christine stays alone, trying to make sense of everything. When the phone rings, the voice on the other end belongs to Dr. Nash, who is helping her recover her memory. The doctor warns her that Ben might not know she is seeing him. Nash asks her to find a shoebox at the back of the wardrobe. Christine opens the box and discovers a camcorder. Dr. Nash asks her to turn it on, and a video of herself appears, in which she talks about her memory issues. The video was recorded 2 weeks ago. Christine is sitting in a car with Dr. Nash, who admits that their professional relationship is somewhat unconventional. He picks her up from home and meets her without her husband's permission. Christine feels scared and confused. They drive into a parking lot, and Dr. Nash tells her how he found her 6 months ago. He explains that he is a neuropsychologist. He is preparing a study on the type of amnesia she suffers from, so he is willing to work with her for free. They begin walking to the doctor's office. Nash says that although she doesn't remember who he is when he calls her the next day, she still agrees to work with him. Christine once mentioned working with a psychologist to her husband, but Ben strongly opposed the idea. Dr. Nash gives her the camcorder and tells her to keep a video journal. He says her injuries are the result of a brutal attack 10 years ago, involving repeated blows to her head. She feels confused because Ben had told her a different story. Dr. Nash shows her news articles about the attack, and she wonders why someone would try to kill her. He explains that no one truly knows, except for her. As they leave, Dr. Nash asks her not to tell Ben about the camcorder, so she doesn't feel pressured to share her thoughts and emotions. He showed her where the camera was hidden and would call her in the morning to remind her, and she agreed to the plan. That evening, while Ben prepares dinner, Christine goes into the bathroom to make her first entry in the video journal. She explains her memory condition. When she hears Ben coming up the stairs, she quickly hides the camcorder and lies down on the bed, pretending to be asleep. Christine woke up the next morning beside Ben, who pretended to still be asleep. They proceed with the same conversation as always about her memory, their life together, and her life. Christine doesn't understand what she does all day and feels frustrated. Later, she sits in the car with Dr. Nash again, watching the video. Christine says that without the recording, she would believe everything Ben tells her. Like the car accident, she wonders what else he might be lying about. Dr. Nash says he cannot call her on the home phone due to the risk of being discovered. Christine tells him that she doesn't want to live in fear all the time. She asks if the treatment Dr. Nash is applying to her is effective. Dr. Nash explains that in some rare cases, revisiting the scene of the attack can help trigger memory, but the main reason he brought her here is to build trust with her. When they arrive at an industrial area, they meet the manager of the place. He takes them to where he found Christine, telling them she was there in a state of undress, wrapped in a blanket, and covered in blood. At that time, she couldn't remember anything. Back in the car, Christine asks Dr. Nash why she was near the airport. The doctor explains that there are many hotels in the area and suggests she may have had an affair. The medical report indicates signs of recent sexual activity. Christine asks the doctor if she was raped, but the doctor says the report does not suggest that. Christine cannot believe that she could be the one who betrayed. Then, she returns to the bathroom and says that she needs to remember what happened, no matter what she did. She hears children playing outside and goes out to check, but sees no one. That evening, Christine goes into the bathroom to take a shower. Ben enters and begins kissing her. As they start to have sex, Christine suddenly remembers the image of a man with a scar on his jaw. Afterwards, they sleep together, and Christine dreams of a hotel room related to her attack. The next day, Dr. Nash conducts tests on Christine. He shows her photos she needs to identify. Christine looks at the pictures and feels so angry that she has to press the alarm button on the MRI machine. Dr. Nash said that some of the photos were random, while others were in her file. Christine doesn't know who the woman in the photo is, even though the name Claire is written on it. That evening, while having dinner with Ben, Christine asks him about Claire. Ben says he doesn't know who she is and asks why Christine is bringing up that name. When she says she has a memory of Claire, Ben becomes interested in how much she can remember. Christine mentions a few details, mostly from the photo, and Ben says this isn't the first time she's remembered Claire. He explains that they used to be friends, but Claire moved away, and it's no longer important. Christine insists that it is very important. Ben brings out a box containing photos he has kept in his office. These photos are of her and Claire. Christine asks why he has been hiding these photos, and Ben explains that he did so to protect her from the truth that her friend couldn't accept her condition. Christine asks Ben how she can trust him if he keeps hiding things like this from her. Ben replies that he can always deal with it later. Christine then records a new video. In it, she says that Ben is hiding Claire from her and that she cannot trust him. Later, Ben discovers that she has pasted the photos of Claire on the bathroom wall. Dr. Nash calls Christine and explains everything to her once again. She watches the video from the previous day, where she says she cannot trust Ben. She zooms in on the video and notices that the photos she saw the day before have now disappeared. Christine gets angry and starts searching through Ben's office. She finds a key, and the key leads her to the photos. As she flips through the photos, she remembers a moment with Claire, where Claire told her she was pregnant. Christine hurriedly checks the photos in the bathroom and in the photo albums, but there's no evidence to suggest she ever had a child. She examines her stomach and notices stretch marks, then recalls a conversation with her son. She calls Ben to ask about their child, and he immediately comes home. Christine is stunned and wants to know where their son is. Ben hugs her and tells her their son passed away before turning 9, from meningitis. Ben takes out another box of photos he had hidden from her and shows her a picture of their son, Adam, when he was a little boy. Christine cries, but she doesn't remember the boy. Ben handed her Adam's birth certificate and a piece of paper with the boy's handwriting. Ben takes the photos back, and then Christine records a new video. In it, she says that while the pain may no longer be fresh for Ben, for her, it will always be a new pain, every day, for the rest of her life. Christine has another nightmare about the man with the scar, in the dream about her attack. She wakes up in fear, then watches the videos about Adam and cries. Christine begins taking down the photos from the wall in the bathroom. She continues talking to Dr. Nash and asks him if he knows about her son. Dr. Nash responds that they have talked about Adam before. Christine starts to think that perhaps it would be better if she didn't know everything. She asks the doctor if they could just sit quietly for a moment, then asks if she should tell Ben about her treatment. That evening, Christine and Ben talk about Adam again. She asks if she was a good mother before the accident happened. Ben says that she loved their son very much. Christine recalls a moment with Adam. Christine told Ben that she understood the difficulty he had to endure when reliving all of those things repeatedly. However, she asks him not to hide their son from her again. Ben apologized to her. That night, Christine had another nightmare in which she found herself in a hotel and saw her son there. She finds a piece of paper with the name Mike on it, and then remembers the man with the scar. Finally, she recalls part of the attack. Later, Christine sits in the car with Dr. Nash, and as they are heading somewhere, they stop. She tells him about the name Mike, saying that he is the one who hurt her. Dr. Nash comforts her and leans down to kiss her. Christine saw the name Mike on the doctor's name tag and realized he was the one who had attacked her in the hotel. She quickly runs out of the car. Dr. Nash takes a syringe from the trunk and chases after her across a long bridge, eventually catching up with her. Then, Christine wakes up on her sofa as the phone rings. She picks up the phone, and it's Dr. Nash calling, explaining that he had injected her with a sedative to calm her down, not to make her sleep. Christine remembers that Dr. Nash had told her she was confused and suffering from delusions. She places all her fear and doubt onto him. Before ending the call, Dr. Nash says that he has discovered something about Ben that he needs to explain to her in person. Ben arrives home, and they have dinner together. He asks her who she was talking to on the phone when he tried calling her. Christine lies and says she called him. The next day, Christine listens to Dr. Nash explaining that patients like her, who are vulnerable, can develop feelings for their psychologists. What is less common is that psychologists can also develop feelings for their patients. Dr. Nash says this is unprofessional. She believes he is her only hope, and that they are making progress. However, when Dr. Nash says he will refer her to a colleague, he explains that continuing her treatment would not be ethically appropriate. But he believes her progress is remarkable, as she remembered to watch the video even before he called her that morning. Next, Dr. Nash tells her that he has discovered Ben moved her from a psychiatric hospital to a nursing home. The doctor contacted the nursing home's management and learned that her friend, Claire, had tried to reach her. He gives her Claire's phone number. The manager also told Dr. Nash that Ben divorced her 4 years ago. Later, Christine calls Claire and leaves a message saying that she really needs to talk to her. Christine goes to Ben's workplace and asks him if they really got divorced. Ben becomes angry, but she insists on knowing the truth. Ben tells Christine that the reason he distanced himself from her was because of their son's death. Initially, he had left, but then he came back and promised he would never leave her again. Later that same day, Claire calls Christine back. During the conversation, Christine recalls some memories of Claire as she mentions that she had called the nursing home where Christine had been placed multiple times. Claire says she misses Christine a lot and wants to meet her. They arrange to meet at an observatory in an hour. Christine arrives to meet Claire and waits for her on a bench. When Claire appears, Christine recognizes her friend. Both of them miss each other deeply. Christine asks Claire if she was a good mother, and Claire replies that she was an amazing mother, and Ben was also a good father. Then, Christine asks who was the one who hurt her. They share a drink together, and Claire tells her that perhaps Christine had an affair. Christine had confessed to Claire but didn't give details about the man. Claire apologized for telling Ben, but she felt she had to do so because she had spoken to the police. Christine realizes that this might be why Ben never talked about anything with her. Even about Claire. Claire goes on to explain that after the accident she tried to help Ben, and the two of them spent a lot of time together, even having a brief affair. Feeling guilty, Claire decided to distance herself from them. Before Christine leaves, Claire gives her a letter that Ben had once left for Claire. Ben had instructed that it should only be given to Christine when she was clear-headed enough to read and understand it. In the letter, Ben explains the reason he left Christine. He writes that the main reason was for the happiness and mental health of their son Adam, who couldn't bear seeing his mother like that. Christine finishes reading the letter just before Ben returns home. She then recorded a video in which she talked to Ben. She says that by the time he watches this video he will know everything, including the one thing she feels for him, which is love. Later, Christine shows Ben the video she recorded for him. She begins recounting everything that has happened in the past few weeks. She told him about seeing Dr. Nash, and he was angry when he found out she kept it a secret. When Christine says that she forgives him and still loves him, he suddenly slaps her. Christine calls Claire and tells her about Ben hitting her. Claire says she will call him and get back to Christine right away. While waiting, Christine records another video in which she says Ben hit her. Claire calls back and tells Christine that Ben has actually been living alone and hasn't seen her in 4 years. Claire asks Christine to describe Ben. As they compare descriptions, they realize some inconsistencies. Claire mentions that Ben actually has a scar on his face, which makes Christine recall a brief memory. The man Christine is living with returns home, and she quickly runs to the bathroom to check the pictures on the wall to see if he has a scar. When she doesn't find a scar, Claire confirms that this man is not Ben. Suddenly, Christine realizes that all the pictures on the wall have been altered. She begins to remember the attack and pleads with Claire for help, but she can't remember her address. Claire asks Christine to find a way to locate herself, but just then, Ben tries to enter the room. Christine has another memory of the attack. Then she opens the door and finds that Ben has disappeared. Christine goes downstairs and tries to exit through the front door, but she finds it is locked. Christine finds the back door key and quickly escapes the house. When Ben suddenly grabs her, she wakes up the next morning in bed with him. Christine enters the bathroom, sees the pictures on the wall, then returns to the bedroom where Ben is sitting on the bed, talking to her about their relationship. After he leaves, Dr. Nash calls her, urging her to find the camera. Christine only finds the recording where she says she loves Ben. She then notices a bruise on her cheek. The phone rings again, and this time it's Ben, asking if everything is alright. He has Christine's mobile phone, the one Claire was trying to call. Ben reminds Christine to prepare her luggage for their anniversary trip and she tells him that she loves him. At the same time, Dr. Nash is trying to call Christine but is called to the reception desk. There, he meets Ben, who introduces himself and tells Nash to stay away from Christine. That evening, Ben and Christine drive to a hotel near the airport. Once there, Christine asks if this is really their wedding anniversary. Ben responds that it's not their anniversary, but for another occasion. Christine doesn't understand why he brought her there. Ben hands her a glass of champagne and says that he wants her to remember the attack. Suddenly, Christine remembers that he is actually Mike, the man who attacked her. She asks where Ben really is, and Mike admits that her husband left her a long time ago. Mike said he got her out of the nursing home with fake papers. He originally intended to take care of her, but now he was tired of the lies and wanted her to remember everything. Christine recalled the day of the attack when Mike threatened to call her husband and then attacked her. She realized that Mike was the one who caused everything. Mike admitted that he hated himself for what had happened and begged her not to leave him. Christine felt terrified as she began to remember the details of the night Mike attacked her. Mike continued to beg her not to leave him, but then he stepped aside to see if she would leave. When Christine tried to leave, he hit her again. Mike said that they would either leave together or no one would leave this place. Then, Mike started deleting all the footage on Christine's camera and said she was free. He asks her to kiss him, and Christine does it in fear. Mike forced her to forget about Ben and Adam, saying that they had forgotten her a long time ago. But Christine suddenly realized that Adam was not dead, which made Mike angry, and he continued to beat her. Christine fought back, but Mike overpowered her and started choking her. In her panic, Christine stabbed Mike and tried to escape, but he still grabbed her. After a fierce struggle, Christine finally knocked Mike unconscious and escaped from the room. She activated the fire alarm to attract attention. The police and ambulance surrounded the hotel. Christine was taken into an ambulance, where she recorded a new video explaining what had happened. Later, Dr. Nash visited her in the hospital room. He woke her up and said that he was here as a friend, no longer her doctor, because she needed someone to take care of her. Nash said that Claire would come to pick Christine up and take her to live with her. When Nash asked if she remembered Claire, Christine confirmed that she did. Dr. Nash continued the conversation, saying that Mike would be imprisoned for a long time for what he had done to her. He also mentioned that someone wanted to meet Christine. Someone who could bring a big turn in her treatment process. Nash turned around, and the person at the door was Ben, Christine's real ex-husband. Dr. Nash let Ben into the room. Ben approached and told Christine that he was her Ben, that he would never leave her if he knew she was in danger. He sat down and talked about their son, Adam. Ben said that both he and Adam loved her very much. Then Ben left the room to bring Adam in. The boy entered, walked up to Christine, and introduced himself to his mother. Christine began to remember the things she used to say to Adam when he was little. Finally, she recognized Adam, and they embraced as she called him My Adam. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss exciting videos like this. Thank you for watching.